Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Story Behind the Stories with the Nipawin Banner and Press for the October 24th edition of the paper. And we have a lot to get into this week, but of course, before we do all that, introductions first. I'm your host this week, Casper Wehrhahn, writer, photographer, and archivist with the Nipawin Banner and Press, and of course joined this week by my fellow writer and photographer, Joshua Jackson. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Hello, glad to be here. Let me just say, as you were talking, it's Friday, October 24th today. I was doing the math. It's Halloween next Friday. You know how crazy that is?
It's absolutely crazy, and it's a little strange too because like after Halloween, of course, as the years go by, holidays kind of shift around and all that. So instead of having a kind of normal-ish schedule there with our work week the following week, we're kind of in the office one day and then out of the office and then in the office the rest of the week because Remembrance Day is actually on a Tuesday this year. So that'll be kind of unique for us. But yeah, it's already like the end of October, and I can't believe that. Time has gone by so fast, and I feel like we've been saying that all this year and kind of maybe the past few years. Don't know what that's about, but I'm sure everyone at home feels the same. Anything else you'd want to add on that topic?
Yeah, of course. I can always talk about fall and the weather. It's crazy to see that a lot of the trees now have lost their leaves, but we're actually very fortunate. We have been very fortunate over this past week or few weeks. We've actually been getting really nice weather. So I can't complain about that. I know we had some rain or whatever in the last few weeks, but I didn't even mind the rain because you know what? It was better than having snow. So I will take rain any day over snow because it's going to start to get cold here, folks. Minus 40 is around the corner, and that's not fun.
Yeah, I'm never ready for that. Never, ever.
Never.
But let's get into the paper for this week. Again, as I said, we have a lot to cover this week. And of course, start right on the front page. That's a great place to start anytime. We actually have some photos of the Western Manitoba Youth Choir. They were in town here doing a performance in Nipawin at the United Anglican Shared Ministry there. And these photos were courtesy of Rain Pryor, of course, and some from Arts Forward as well. Very appreciative of those. Again, you can see that right on the front page. We have one there, and then we have some carryover actually onto page A11. And you'll know later why I say A11, because we do actually have a B section to cover too. But definitely take a look at those. It was a great performance. This is a group of 50-some Manitoba youth from the Western region here, including 3 individuals from Nipawin, 3 students from Nipawin. So definitely take a look at those. And it looked like it was a great performance. I wasn't able to attend myself. But a lot of other people did. There was a massive crowd there, and I'm pretty sure not a single seat was empty by the looks of it. I mean, it had a fantastic attendance there, which is absolutely great to see.
And of course, just shout out to the youth and the Westman Youth Choir. Just seeing such dedicated, passionate students and teachers who want to have this choir, and you have to audition for this choir. So it's just crazy to know that they have those numbers, and they always put on such a good show. I am a sucker for choir music, so I will always take the time to listen and to go out of my way to seek it. But just awesome to see that kids these days are in choir still, and that is something that hasn't faded away because we do need the arts and the culture happening. So I'm glad to see that the people of Nipawin came out to celebrate the choir, and a huge shout out for the business community for stepping up as well. These kids travel across Western Manitoba over the however many days the tour goes, and it's really such a tight schedule because you're on the bus for so much. But Roder's Bakery actually put on a little lunch for them. There were some farmer craft sodas and some Pandasol buns from Roder's Bakery. So it's nice to see as well the business community stepping up and rewarding these singers for their efforts, which I think is absolutely great to see the town of Neepawa step up, because it's not every year we get a performance from the Westman Youth Choir. They do kind of operate on a rotating basis, so whenever we do get them, it absolutely is a treat.
Absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned, the dedication and passion that people in the area and the community have in and around Neepawa, and of course, shouting out businesses too. And we have another business to shout out this week, and that is on page A2 here of this week's paper. This is Minnedosa Bowl. Now, the current owners have been very dedicated to the business since 2012, and they are Alan and Debbie Tarn. And the business as a whole has celebrated just this year on October 18th a massive milestone. It is its 65th year of operation in Minnedosa, same location as it has always been, which is also a very outstanding thing to note. I mean, lots of businesses, they do move depending what their needs are and whatnot, but it has been in the same place and remained operational even actually through COVID-19, not the bowling alley, of course, itself, just because, with regulations and all that, you can't really do a whole lot of group stuff indoors and all that. And, we all know the story of that. We've all experienced it. I guess depending what your age is and you're watching this. If you didn't live through that and you're watching this, what are you doing with your time? Yeah. Anyway.
Boy, we have some news for you.
Point being, they found a way to sort of keep things together there, and the community supported them by supporting their other venture that they started up, Gutter's Pizza, which helps them get through that. But Owen Devereaux did amazing work on this story. I actually was able to go down for the anniversary celebration there and take in some of the day, speak with Alan and Debbie, and it was a fantastic celebration. And of course, goes into the history of the business throughout the years, start to current. So definitely take a look at that and give Alan and Debbie some of your appreciation. I mean, it is a fantastic story on the history part, of course, but also community value. I mean, this is something for the whole family, for residents and visitors to enjoy. And I mean, there's even people as young as 4 getting involved down there at the bowling alley, which is absolutely fantastic.
Now, I would like to add that the bowling alley has been in the community since 1960. However, it has changed hands multiple times. The current owners, of course, Alan and Debbie Tarn, who took over in 2012. But what a great asset in the community, for the community of Minnedosa to have, because bowling alleys are a rarity nowadays. Of course, Neepawa no longer has their bowling alley, as that's now the home of a Boston Pizza. You could go to Brandon to bowl. Carberry has a bowling alley as well, or you could go to Portage in Southport to bowl, but that is actually something Neepawa doesn't have. But to have that nice of a bowling alley, and their lanes are very nice. I have bowled there a few times, and I have friends who have been involved in leagues up there, and they just rave about how pristine of a condition it is up there. So it's just such a nice asset for a small town. It's a great sport. They have league nights, of course, as you mentioned, Gutter's Pizza, which has amazing pizza. It's just so great to see locally owned and operated businesses thrive, especially when they hit big milestones like 60 plus years, as the Minnedosa Bowling Alley has, which is amazing. And as you mentioned, Casper, earlier, considering they survived the COVID-19 pandemic just selling pizzas and through a restaurant alone, just a huge shout out to the community of Minnedosa for stepping up and supporting them and making it a viable, fun activity to do in Minnedosa.
Definitely. And yeah, like it's something that everyone can enjoy. You don't even have to be good at bowling. You can be absolutely mediocre at bowling and have a good time. gosh knows that, well, I'm not particularly great at bowling as well, but I remember many times going to Evans Lanes in Neepawa here when we did have a bowling alley and having an absolute blast with friends and family alike, and of course coworkers for different work events as well. And so it's, yeah, again, it's just wonderful to see this community fixture going strong, and I hope it has many good years in the future as well.
Now, Owen might have been around Minnedosa getting some stories, but Casper, you've been around Neepawa here doing some great work. And one of the things I'd like to ask you about is this week in page A8 of the Neepawa Banner and Press, you have an absolutely wonderful article about What's the Big Idea, the annual pitch competition that happens here in Neepawa. You were boots on the ground and you were there for the day. So can you just tell me about What's the Big Idea and what happened there?
Absolutely. Now, of course, if anyone isn't familiar with What's the Big Idea, it's kind of like, if you know this show, Dragon's Den. Entrepreneurs are welcomed out to the event. Maryland crew works closely with them to help them prepare. And then at the event proper, they pitch their ideas for their new or growing businesses. Of course, they have to be new within the area within a certain period of time in order to be applicable for this event. And then they have a chance to secure funding to help them with either starting up their business or furthering its growth. So at this event this year, we had 5 businesses that were newer to the area pitch their ideas, and these were Northern Taxi, Relax and Enjoy Cleaning Company, Happy Clover Food Truck, I'm sure a lot of people recognize that one as well, Chroma Films, and A Better Connection Therapy Services. And of course, we have a photo of all of these entrepreneurs in association with these businesses photographed on page A8 with their awards as well. We do go over what they were able to receive from the event, and it was a pretty special event too, because this again is their 10th anniversary, the 10th What's the Big Idea. And with that, Maryland crew did go over some of the figures from over the years, got in touch with past What's the Big Idea businesses, got a scope of how many were still in operation, how they were doing and whatnot. And I mean, it's the average of people that were still in operation for their businesses actually exceeds the national average for, what was it, over a scope of 5 years? Yeah. The Canadian average for businesses still operating after 5 years is 50%, and after 10 years is only 33%. And they found that from start to finish, well, current, I shouldn't say finish, start until now, there are still 36 of the prior 57 What's the Big Idea businesses still in operation. And so that is an average of 63%. That's well above the national average for Canada. So that's pretty outstanding, but definitely learn more about these businesses and give them your support if you can.
And that's great that we even have a competition like this in the first place. There is no better way to attract businesses, especially local people who have grown up in the area, than to incentivize them and offer them help. And to do that at something like What's the Big Idea, and to have it run for 10 years continuously and have a positive percentage of businesses that are still going and still running, that's absolutely huge. So maybe I was a little bit surprised to hear that there were only 5 businesses pitching. Has that kind of been the average, or like, as someone who has covered this event before, is that usually what amount of businesses that they see sign up?
I'd have to go back and double check that. I think that has sort of been the case. They might have more or less depending, but I mean, it's pretty strong for support each and every year, it seems. And I mean, the fact that we're getting this many businesses each and every year really sort of shows, I think, the need and appreciation people have for this sort of event. I mean, the startup phase for businesses is quite difficult, right? So having any support you can get and is very valuable. And that's not just in terms of course, monetary funds, though that is great to have. But doing events like this, of course, there's a panel of judges, right? So, you give your presentations and you get feedback. And they ask you questions, and so maybe they give you some stuff to reevaluate, maybe adjust some expectations, so you can better develop your plans for your business. And then of course they have workshops too, so there's a lot of valuable information that's shared there. So yeah, but I think at least 5 business average, but they might have more depending what's going on.
Fair enough. Well, it's great to see, and not just from Nipawin, but surrounding area coming in. I know this started off with Nipawin, but now multiple towns and municipalities take part in this. So it's just great to see the hungerness and eagerness to see that local people want to see entrepreneurs grow and thrive, and I don't think anyone would say no to having a new business in Nipawin, because more variety is great, and just the amount of different, like the variety within the what's the big idea very surprised me, like from a taxi service to cleaning companies to a food truck to a film company to therapy services. Like, it's not just all 5 different restaurants. These are 5 very different, very broad markets that can attract different audiences of people, which I think is very phenomenal, because there's a need for each and every one of these things within our community and our area. So it's just great to see that people are getting their chance and have the education with the workshop portion as well to learn more about starting their business so they can grow and thrive.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of growing and thriving, something else that seems to be growing and thriving is puzzle competitions. Sort of just in general, but also, of course, locally here in Nipawin. Now, we had some photos in last week's paper, I believe it was, from the Nipawin puzzle competition. We have a full story on that in this week's paper, and it's quite the story, really. There was so much I wasn't able to share in this story, unfortunately. There's only so many words we can fit on pages and in the paper. But I have a review there of the event. There was 18 teams at the event on October 11th at Arts Forward. This was held in partnership between Arts Forward and, of course, our very own business in town here, Hidden Hollow. And everyone was there to do a 500-piece puzzle, and 14 of these 18 teams were able to finish their puzzle within the, I believe it was a 2-hour time limit. I'd have to double check that. I'm a little rusty on that at the moment. But we do have, of course, our official results, and I'll just read off the first place ones here, but of course we do have second and third listed as well. In the doubles, we had Team Eat Our Puzzle Dust in first place. And in family competition, this was teams of 3 to 4. This team name kind of made me chuckle. It is Team Not Last, ... hopefully. And they had a time of 47:56. I didn't read the doubles team time there, but it was 31:17, quite astounding. Now, there was something kind of fascinating with this event, because there ended up being a special presentation from some individuals here at the puzzle competition, and it wasn't planned from the get-go to have this happen, but if I remember correctly, and this isn't in the story, this is just sort of during casual conversation there with Brenda Critchlow, I think it was either her and Yvonne, or it was her, but she noticed one of the names, the last names, for one of the participants that ended up signing up kind of sounded a little familiar. And, well, that was the last name of Rebecca Waddell. And she was like, I wonder if there's any sort of relation to Ken Waddell? This is a very uncommon last name. And so got looking at all that, and it's just like, well, there's no relation to Ken, but oh, she's in this group called Manitoba Speed Puzzlers. And then started looking through the group and all that, and then noticed these other names that were also familiar because they were also on the sign up for the competition. It's just like, oh, they're also Manitoba Speed Puzzlers, and some of them have gone to like nationals and worlds, and they want to come here and participate in our competition in Nipawa. And so they got talking together, and she's like, hey, could you, as part of Manitoba Speed Puzzlers, do a special presentation after the competition concludes? And of course they agreed, and they were very, very courteously able to provide a presentation at the end of the event. And really the point of that was to not only say, hey, this is not just a local thing, there's lots of people everywhere that like love doing puzzles, and saying, you know, like, if you want a puzzle, come join us, but also, you know, really emphasizing the fact that like, it doesn't matter how slow or fast you are when you do puzzles at puzzle competitions. What really matters is just having fun, and having a good time with everybody, whether it's, you know, you and your teammates, but also the people surrounding you, right? And to not really compare yourself to other puzzlers, because while you are technically competing with the other people in the room, the person you're really competing with is yourself. So you need to compare yourself to, you know, how you were doing puzzles like maybe a week or months ago, right? And if you don't want to get faster, they of course had some tips and tricks for you, you know, things to watch out for, things to kind of consider as you're tackling your puzzle at competitions, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it was really fascinating talking to them. A very great group of people. The other individuals were Chantel Johnson, Kirsty Williams, and Amy Rutledge. They are from Brandon and Winnipeg, I believe, each of them. And of course, the other winning team, the doubles family team, or sorry, not doubles family, the family team that I spoke to, who actually also happens to be involved in Manitoba Speed Puzzlers, but weren't part of the presentation. They're from Portage, so people came from kind of all over to take part in this competition, which is pretty amazing.
That's really cool. I had no idea that this was even a thing or a type of competition until this week's paper. And I just gotta say, that's the neatest thing ever. It would take me actual days to put together a 500-piece puzzle, but to know that the first place in the doubles competition, they put it together in a mere 31 minutes, that blows my mind. These are talented, very skillful, knowledgeable people if they can put it together in that long. So that's so cool. And as you mentioned, Casper, it's great that events like this can be held in Nipawa that are niche and can draw a community of people from outside, like from Brandon to Portage to Winnipeg. That's just great that it is a big thing and that people are coming here, and that's how we get on the map. I believe I read in the article that there will be more like this hosted, and I believe a workshop at some point. So that's cool to watch Nipawa get in on the ground floor of something and watch it grow, and to have such calibered puzzlers. What do you call a person that does puzzlers? Do you call that an athlete, a puzzler? I don't know.
That's a good question.
We'll call them.
I know. I've personally also been using the term puzzlers.
Puzzler. Yeah, I just was thinking. We'll call them a puzzler. But yeah, just watching these puzzlers go and to do it in that speed must be cool. And one thing I really appreciate is how they talk about how it's a friendly hobby and a competition, and the competitions aren't meant to get cutthroat and vicious, but it's more so about personal growth and making friends and just having a good time and challenging yourself, which I think is so cool, because I had no idea that there was a market for this and people who did puzzles speedily. But it makes sense, and honestly, it's so niche and it's so cool. So good for them for stepping up, and I hope this is something that the town will kind of rally behind, and we will see our own local Nipawa puzzlers making it to regionals and Canadian championships and hopefully even world championships. So That's amazing, honestly. Now, Casper, we're running low on time here. There's so much that we have written, but there's something that I quickly want to talk about on the same page here as the puzzle competition. Let's Scare Away Hunger is something passionate to me from the Nipawin Hope Group, because I was in school when the Hope Group started, and I remember having to do this yearly. So basically what the NACI Hope Group will be doing on Halloween is they will be going door to door. Now, they're not asking for treats, although you should give them treats because they're out there working hard, but what they're doing is a canned food drive, and they will be going asking for non-perishables, and it all goes to a good cause, right back to the local Salvation Army. So maybe you see some kids that are looking maybe just a little too old, but no, they're doing it for a good cause, and they are doing it for the Salvation Army. So just a heads up, October 31st, Halloween is coming. We're a week away from it already, which, as we've mentioned earlier, just bonkers. So just make sure, from January to September, Nipawin Salvation Army has assisted over 1,200 individuals and over 500 households. They've given away over 32,000 pounds of food just in the past month, or in the past year. So a worthy cause, so make sure we're making a difference and we can make our community a little less hungry. And if you see a Hope member come by on Halloween, give them some candy and trick-or-treating stuff too, because they deserve it. But more importantly, give them some non-perishable food and make an impact in your community.
Absolutely. No, very wonderful and important cause to support. So please do that if you can. Before we wrap up here, I'll just give a quick shout out to the stories that we aren't able to delve into this week.
There's
of course,
so much.
Yeah, so much. Josh's story on page A11 regarding the Regional Library Board and a potential levy raise. And of course, on page 15, we also have a 10-year anniversary for Artie's on Main in Minnedosa, so please give that a look as well. And of course, we have a B section this week, as I alluded to earlier, our Farmers Advocate. So definitely take a look at all of these and everything else that we couldn't cover in this week's edition of Story Behind the Stories. And if I may, a very quick note here, that there was a little bit of a typo that got missed in our proofing here on page 5 for the West Park School history. Instead of 1995, Hazel Kellington's retirement should be 1965. We do have a note of that, and we will put a correction in for the following week, but just make sure all of our viewers do know that, so we know what the deal with that is, and we are correcting it. But thank you very much for joining us on this week's episode of The Story Behind the Stories. If you have any news tips for us, letters to the editor, or anything else, thumbs up, thumbs down, please send those to news@nipawinbaron.com or give us a call at 204-476-3401. And if you would like to support us with advertising so we can keep doing what we do and, of course, keep the paper free, send that to ads@nipawinbaron.com. Once again, on behalf of myself and Joshua Jackson, thank you very much for having us, I guess, take up 30 minutes of your time. And we will look forward to another one. Have a great rest of your week.